Thanks, Mr. Chairman. This has been very, very helpful to me. Thanks to the four of you for coming, for your thoughtful comments, and the Secretary was helpful too. It's interesting we really skipped a generation in terms of reauthorizing Elementary and Secondary Education Act. It's been this last 5 years should have been the reauthorization period, and we should be looking at whatever the new generation should be. And as we think about that, as I think about it, I look back over the 10 years and think, well, at least most all of us agree that the great contribution of No Child Left Behind was the new reporting system for children, so we have a better understanding of a great many children, their lack of progress or progress that we did before, and we all want to keep that and use that and make sure we improve on it and understand that. I think the thing that's happened over the last 5 years, it's to me most interesting, is what the states have done. I mean, this is a culmination of 25 or 30 years of efforts that's included common core standards, and then curriculum, and then working together to develop tests, then working most recently with accountability systems and performance standards, and then the hardest part, which is teacher evaluation, and trying to relate that to pay to outstanding performance by teaching, which is the hardest part of it all to me. And a combination of events have caused states to make enormous progress. And so when the waiver became available, it fit into that opportunity, and it seems to me, and that made a good difference. I advised our governor when he asked, I said, grab the waiver and take it for all you can get. And what he was able to do is pass a number of important changes with the state law, get some broad flexibility from the federal government, because what Secretary Duncan wanted to do was approximately what we wanted to do anyway, and off they've gone. And they've got 6 or 7 years now, going back to what Ms. Hickok has said, is the last thing we'd want to do is interrupt that progress of those states that are making progress, because they're on a course. All this takes a lot of time. It's like getting a train moving, and we want to take full advantage of it. So I want to direct my question really to any of you, but start with Dr. Holliday or Dr. King. Assuming we can reauthorize ESEA, and we really should do that. I mean, it'll take 2 years to get it into effect, even if we do a good job to do it. But how much instruction do you want from Washington now that you've gone through your own work on standards, curriculum, tests, accountability systems? I mean, how specific do you want the federal government to talk to you about what performance standards should be, how to erase achievement gap? Do you really want district superintendents coming up here asking permission to create this growth system or that growth system? Do you want specific criteria for teacher evaluation that are as specific as are in the waivers? I have a bias about that myself, but let me ask you about that. Let me start with the chief state school officers, because of the enormous amount of work you've done in these areas.
Yes, sir. I believe the Chief's Accountability Task Force 9 principles would be a great starting place for reauthorization. 44 states signed on to that, and the other 6, I think, are in various stages with that. So,
if I'm, without interrupting too much, you use the words concrete parameters and flexibility. I mean, the real guts of our discussion here, when we get down to it, will be between those who say, well, we've got to have parameters set in Washington about exactly what a teacher evaluation system is, about what performance standards must be, about what about defining the achievement gap, because we can't trust the states to do that. My bias is to go the other way, using as evidence most of what's happened in the last few years, especially the last 2 or 3 years.
I think I'm a balance between both positions. I want to protect the children that need our protection. I want to protect disadvantaged children. I want to ensure we have a balanced system so that health, physical education, art, music, and career and technical education are not put aside to focus solely on bubble kids with math and reading. I think we've got enough lessons learned about the unintended consequences and then the guiding principles that the chiefs supported, and then the advocacy groups like Katie's who say, look, we got to make sure we protect this. But with teacher evaluation, I've got two great teachers right behind me who serve on the state committee for developing a teacher evaluation system. I think you've got to give a little flexibility to states to do it with teachers rather than to teachers. And at the end of the day, I think moving toward a higher standard of college and career readiness with comparability and research required to show that your state's outcomes are comparable to other states, rather than what went wrong before, that we had no comparability with state results. But with NAEP, you've had the gold standard that showed you that some states had rigorous standards that were college career ready, and some states did not. So I think those components of rigor and research and comparability we would all want, and that's what it means by saying, here's the outcomes we want. You've got this flexibility at the state level.
Mr. Chair, my time's up. The only thing I would say back to that is, unless you're careful, you're going to get your performance standards, your teacher evaluation systems, your achievement gap requirements, exactly what a growth model ought to be, all written here by somebody instead of in the state office in Kentucky. I don't think you want that. I don't want that in Tennessee, and that's what I'm getting at.